terms of our energy mix. That we've got, over 70% of our energy comes from renewable sources, and those in the government can correct me. I think it's probably closer to 80. So we've got all of these sources of energy and electricity in the country, and yet it is still at a higher cost, because now we don't just depend on hydro. We've got wind power, we've got all of these sources, but yet it is still costly. Where does this cost, the big cost, come from? Is it from Kenya Power, who are the last mile, the interface with the consumer? Is it from the distribution? Is it from the generation? And once we've identified that, how do we mitigate that cost so that it becomes more affordable for us as consumers?
Yeah. The ideal would be to get an investment. We were trying to do like in the Electricity Act, Energy Act, to attract investment. Says, please come and buy, produce, say, 10 mega here, and we shall give you a letter of comfort, stuff like that. But it is not actually working very well, because there is even a perceived risk. I don't want to invest in Kenya. Let me invest in, say, Hungary or something.
What is that investors fear?
Well,
what is that environment that makes them hesitant?
The same thing, Yvonne, that they say that that Nairobi is more dangerous than London. It is not. More people die of violent death in London than in Nairobi. So I think we need, and this is what we try to do in the university, to clarify matters to people. One story. The African continent, 30 million square kilometers. 1.3 coming to 1.4 billion people, 54 countries together, lots of raw material and stuff. The whole GDP of these 54 countries put together is smaller than the GDP of France. Why? Because we don't have electricity. There is no way you can put value addition, You can't pump water, you can't irrigate, you can't have proper education, can't even cook.
Yeah.
So that is it. I say we have accept where we are so that we see where we want to go.
Indeed.
So a secunda kumi tafadhali.
Yeah.
Just 10 seconds.
Yes, just 10 seconds, yeah.
Okay, so what you've said, Yvonne, is important. I have the advantage of having been a regulator.
Yes.
And when I was a regulator 10 years ago, the plan was very clear that the more renewable we put in the system, the lower the cost of power should be. And the DG can attest to that. The problem is the bringing online of this renewable energy power is taking too long, and if it's a business, it's going to be costly. But some of the higher cost is because, yes, you generate, but the losses we are talking about, someone has to pay for them. Most of the contracts you generate, you pay.
Yeah.
Whether you waste it or not, someone has to pay.
Right.
And whatever little is consumed and paid for must be divided by everyone. So, again, losses, inefficiencies in the system are there. And in hindsight, you're old enough to see that in the 2000s, the system worked very well. What is wrong?
Yes.
That's the question we should be asking.
That's right. Yes, some very important questions, I think, that would be then handled by the government studio and perhaps Kenya Power as well. Losses, inefficiencies, what's happening across the chain with that. And indeed, like Professor Silva says, the competition is coming. So I wonder what Kenya Power is doing to get ready for this competition that is coming their way. Is this something that they have perhaps thought about? Over to you, Sam and Mashirima.
Right. Thank you so much, Yvonne and Lincoln, for that. And we want to begin by taking a look at some feedback that has been coming to us from Kenyans. Several questions, especially about connectivity and the cost of it, so that we can deeply get into looking into that. Albert Nexus is saying that if a power surge or outage from Kenya Power damages my electronics, how will I be compensated, and what is the process for filing and resolving a claim?
Naam, jumbe nyingine ambayo pia imeingia, hili swali linaenda kwake Daktari Engineer Siror. There is this big man in your office based at Kirugoya town, Kirinyaga, who ignores all protestations from consumers at Kiamwenja Center on why their power was arbitrarily transferred from a previous line to another, that's objectively nadhani